This is not live.
Correct.
It's being recorded. So if something you really messed up, you'll edit it out and all that.
Make sure we check this last one.
2, 3, 4. Okay. My mic check is okay.
My mouth. Oh, you want to laugh so bad. You don't want to say my middle name so bad.
I will not do that.
It's a lot more calculations, for sure. I'm just looking at the lights and all these cameras.
All right. And 3, 2.
Good morning. I'm Austin Smith, a senior civil engineering major, and I serve as the 2021-2022 Student Government Association Executive President. And I am here with the 11th President of Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, President Andrew Hugine, Jr. Good morning, President.
Good morning to you, President Smith. It is certainly a pleasure being here and always having the opportunity of interacting and talking with you, sir.
Yes, sir. We are just engaged in normal conversation. We're going to talk from your legacy to things that you can pass down to the students and student leaders, next student leaders that'll be coming up on the Hill. So with that, I want to get started. So my first really initial point is, how does your view of the university differ now from when you first began?
The biggest difference is that I am now a lot more familiar with the heritage and the culture of the institution than initially. Prior to my coming here, the only thing I knew about Alabama A&M University is what I read. Reading is fine, but you really have to be immersed in the institution. The institution has a very inspirational founding. When you think of Dr. William Hooper Council, you think about the period of time, and I think sometimes we don't put things in context. The Emancipation Proclamation did not occur until 1865. So we're looking at 10 short years after that this institution was established. And you think about the wealth that we had as a people at that time, we had none. So the institution was founded with a dream. It was founded on faith. It was founded in belief that there needed to be the education of people, because education really is that particular thing that's going to make a difference in our lives. And so you would not know about, and I did not know about, that inspirational part of the legacy of this institution before coming. So that's how it's changed my view from initial in 2009 to where we are here today at 2021.
Wow, and then you've served as 12 years as president. What lesson in leadership that you wish you could have learned sooner when you first began the job in 2009 to now?
The lesson always that we have to learn is that, one, you're going to expect that there will be challenges. When you enter anything in life and think that you're not going to have challenges, you're really being unrealistic. There are going to be challenges, there are going to be setbacks. The question then is, how do you respond to those? Failure in itself is not bad. Failure is bad when you allow it to define who you are. As long as you take failure from the perspective of saying, okay, what do I need to learn from this so that I don't do the same thing over again? If you do that, then that's a valuable lesson. And so for me, obviously being in this position or any position, I have failed. There are things that did not work out that the way I thought that they should. But in the context, the successes have far outweighed the failure. And so I say to young people, I say to anyone, don't think that you're not going to have setbacks. Don't believe that you're not going to have challenges. Always keep in mind the focus and the mission of the organization. and make your decisions based on that. You don't make your decisions based upon popularity. You don't make those decisions based upon what people want you to do. You make those decisions based upon what is best in the interest of the university. Because at the end of the day, people come, people go. The constant is the institution. It's been here since 1865, and it will be here long after we are gone. So as long as we keep that in perspective and understand that don't let your challenges and failures define you, but use them as lessons to learn as to what you should do next. I think Thomas Edison probably said it best. Thomas Edison said that when he was trying to discover the light bulb, that people may think that he failed 10,000 times, but he didn't. What he found was there were 10,000 ways that that did not work, and so I needed to try something else. And so if we take that approach in life, with anything that we do, then obviously we're going to be successful in the end.
And that's a good answer. I think a lot of our younger people need to hear that. I know I need to hear that. When I started at my tenure as S.G.A. president, I was very focused on popularity and making sure that I was doing things to make me look good and not make the institution that I serve look good. And I've learned it took some time and growth. I think you saw where I was to where I am now, and I think it's a big growth.
But you're to be commended for that, because that's what's important. That we learn and we mature. It doesn't matter where we started from. The fact is, did we move from that and understand the larger picture?
How would you make the most of every day personally and professionally?
Well, understand that there is something that we have called time. Time is an interesting commodity. And it's an interesting commodity because, number one, unlike other things, you can't save it. There's no way to bottle up time and save it for the future. Nor can you regain it once it is gone. That's the way time works. And so I look at each day from that perspective. What is it that we want to try to accomplish for the institution in order that it's going to be better? And we only have this time to do it. I can't do it tomorrow or the next day. I've got to do it today. I look at it from that perspective and try to be sure that I'm dealing with those things that are priorities, both in my personal life as well as that of the university, to deal with them at that time, not to put them off for tomorrow, but to deal with them at that particular time, because we know that in the future, the time may not allow that to happen. So professionally, that's the way we try to approach it. And then the other is, you have to have some downtime. You have to have some time for yourself and for your family, that you don't allow anything to impose on that time. And I have some downtime. That downtime comes in terms of television shows that I may want to watch or reading that I may want to do. And I don't allow anything to interfere with that particular time, because you do need to unwind. You do need to have that downtime to yourself.
Well, since you said television and reading, so I'm interested in knowing your favorite television show.
Well, I think a lot of people are a bit surprised when I tell them what my favorite television shows are, because it doesn't seem like that would be something I like. Two of them are no longer, they're no longer on. They've actually run their period of time. But there were two Tyler Perry, two Tyler Perry, yes. I like The Haves and the Have-Nots, and I like If Loving You Is Wrong. Those were two of my favorite shows. When they came on, you don't call my house, don't bother me, just that's where I'm focused on. So those were good. I've not really found anything that really replaces the two of them. I watch some other things, but it's not quite the same. There are some very interesting movies that I've watched recently that I like. There's the one about, I think it's Brothers to Brothers that I liked pretty well. There was one that Dietrich is starring in that I like. There's one about, I think it's called Grace.
Yeah.
So those are some of the movies that I watch. So it's a kind of a dichotomy. On one hand, it's these kind of movies. On the other hand, it's the other. So I guess that's just the kind of person I am. It's just that dichotomy of the extreme, so to speak.
If I can make a suggestion.
Okay.
On Netflix, Upshaws is a great show. It features Mike Epps. It's kind of in that similar Tyler Perry fashion. A lot of it's comedy, so it's funny.
Okay.
So.
And what it's called?
Upshaws.
Upshaws. Okay. Okay. I will definitely, because I do have Netflix, so I'll watch that and see. Let you know. Yeah. Now Dynasty is one of the others that I watch on Netflix as well.
I don't think I've ever watched Dynasty.
It's an older version, but this is an updated version of Dynasty.
Oh, I need to go and watch it.
Yeah, Dynasty's nice.
Well, to move forward, your time is coming towards the end, and we have elected a new president, the 12th president of Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, President-elect Daniel Wims. What would be your advice to your successor that you weren't told when you became president?
My advice is to listen, to assess, have no preconceived notions about anything. Start with a clean slate, empty slate, and build the institution based on its legacy, its mission, what that institution is about. Embrace people, empower people, and if you do those things, everything will go well. Again, there are going to be challenges, but even though you've been a part of the university for these 11 plus years, there's a different perspective from the presidency than you have in other positions, and so it's good that you know some things about the institutions, but there are others that you will discover because you're at a different level. When you are in a vice presidential position, your focus is primarily on that division. When you become president, your focus is broader because now you have to look at all the divisions and how all of these pieces interact together. And so it's a different perspective, and that's why I'm saying it's important to listen, to assess, and make a determination as to where you're going.
Given in my conversation with President-elect Wims, I think he is going to be a phenomenal president of Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, and I know we all wish him the best. I won't have as much time because I will also be an outgoing president come the spring, but in the spring semester, I'll make the best time out of it. I hope that I'm still invited up here to get my daily dose of orange juice and cookies.
I can't speak for them, but I'm sure that, because again, at the end of the day, we're all about students, and we want our students to feel comfortable in the environment that we're in. And so I can't speak for him. But certainly I don't think that he would ban you from the office so that you get your daily treats. I think that opportunity will still present itself.
What is one of your proudest moments of your presidency?
There are a lot of them.
I'd say this year I've seen a lot.
There are quite a few, but what really gives me joy and satisfaction is seeing students receive their degrees from the institution, because I understand how transformational that is for many of our students, particularly those that are first generation. It's a proud moment because for them it's an accomplishment, but it also is a fulfillment of the mission of what we are about, and that is to prepare the next generation of leaders. That education becomes transformational in the sense that for many of our students, particularly the first generation students, it transforms not only that student, but also the lives of the families that they are connected with. And so that's a proud moment always for me and for the institution as well.
So as you know, the lifespan of a college president or university president is around 4 years, maybe 6, but you stayed 12 years. What motivated you to do the work that you do as president for as long as you did?
It depends upon how you look at the position of a president. If it is a job, that's one thing. If it's a calling and you're passionate about it, it's altogether different. I never looked at this as being a job. I consider this to be my calling. I was passionate about what was going on here at the university and what could be achieved here at the university. And never ever had stress relative to serving in this position. Yes, had challenges. Yes, we had to work through some things. But when you're doing that, you really don't realize the time passing. It didn't dawn on me that the time had gone. It seems to me that I just arrived here last year, even though last year is 2009. And I consider myself to be extremely blessed to basically, when you put it in that context, to serve 2, possibly 3 terms as presidents go, because you're right, typically it's 4 to 5 years, maybe 6 years at the most, and for me, I've been able to serve between the 2 institutions a total of 17 years as president. And also, because of that, you realize that there comes a period of time when it's time to move on. And I certainly realized that the time was ready for me to move on. No one asked me to move on. They really didn't want me to move on, but I knew that the time had come that we needed to pass the baton on to someone else. You know, again, if you're looking at typically 4 or 5 years, 6 at the most, and you've done 2, you know, you probably need to leave it at that point and transition into something else. The piece that put it into context for me really occurred when my wife and I realized that we were going to celebrate our 50th class reunion back in the summer. And when you think about the fact that you've been out of college for 50 years, then it's probably time to not only enjoy that period, but also it's probably time to move on to another phase in your life. Because again, you know, we all know the biblical promise, your 70 years. And I've been blessed and she's been blessed that we've done that. But the folks said, don't push your luck. Don't push your luck.
And I know you are going to enjoy being full-time granddad. I have had honor of meeting your grandchildren.
I love it.
And they are adorable. And you know how we, in the Board of Trustees meeting, how I compare you to my own grandfather. So I want them to have their granddad, to see them get to this stage in life as my granddads were there for me and my grandmas were there for me.
And that I'm praying for, you know, to have the time to spend. You know, it just melts your heart when they call and I want to speak to granddad, or I want to speak to grandmom, and you know, we video time each other, and you get a chance to see them, and they call and they want to read to you or tell you about their experiences, and so it is wonderful. Looking forward to that. Our children always wonder if we're the same parents because we are so different with the grandchildren than we were with them. But it's a different phase in life. You know, again, you learn those things that did not work, and so with them, with grandchildren, you can approach them a little differently. You can give them a lot more latitude than you do your own children.
I hope my parents watch this. I hope they're taking notes because.
Yeah, grandchildren are different.
I've come to realize that.
They are quite different. They are quite different, yes.
As historians write about your tenure as president, what is the one thing about your legacy that you would want them to write about?
That the institution was better when I left than when I found it. That's what I want them to write about, that we took an institution and we made that institution better. Better in terms of the services provided to our students, better in terms of what it did for this community and for this nation, better in terms academically, financially, made a stronger institution. That's what I would like the legacy to be. that it was better than when he arrived in 2009.
Yes, sir. What a legacy you have written, and I can't wait to see what the historians will write about the Hugine years.
It's, well, you have to tell the folks say the good, bad, and the ugly that goes with it, because it's a combination of all of that. I've come to understand in life that whatever happens, it happens for a reason. Sometimes we don't understand that initially, but later in life we find, you know what, that's why it needed to happen in order that we would propel and go in that particular direction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What advice would you give to future and current students and student leaders about leadership?
Leadership, first of all, understand that you can't lead where people are not willing to follow. You know, it's much like you're the drum major and you look around and there's no band behind you. Okay, people have to buy into the vision, and they have to understand that your commitment to that vision, to be fair with people, to be honest with people, that is easier said than done, because by human nature we tend to want to look at things differently for, quote, those that we like versus those that we do not. In leadership, it's not about like and dislike, it's about doing what is right and being consistent from one person to the other. Whatever the policies and procedures are, you follow those. It doesn't make any difference who it is, you've got to follow them. People may not like them, but at least at the end of the day they will say, but he or she followed the policy and treated us all the same. Do what you say you're going to do. Don't make promises that you cannot keep. I've always tried to make a habit of under-promising and over-delivering.
That's it.
It's easy to get out and say these lofty things that you want to accomplish and that you want to do, but then when you do that, the expectation is that you will get them accomplished. And sometimes you cannot. It's always easier when you have promised one and you've delivered three than promising three and only delivering one. And so do what you say you're going to do, treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and understand that you can't lead where people are not willing to follow. If you do that, because people have to know where you're coming from. They don't need to wonder, well, how is the person going to respond in this case? It has to be a consistency in how you approach so that people know and can function from that perspective.
Absolutely. Here are my favorite questions, which you will, I don't know, you may, we'll see.
Okay.
Which fraternity is the best, President Hugine? The great men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated or Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated?
Well, you know, that's a question that you know the answer to.
Oh, here we go.
And greatness is going to be defined by, it's much like beauty, it's by the eyes of the beholder. And so for me, there is no question that the greatest fraternity is the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. For you, if you did not say that Kappa Alpha Psi was the greatest fraternity, then I would be concerned about you and the membership in that.
Most definitely.
There's an old adage that we use in the Low Country, and I know this won't mean anything to you younger people, but the old saying is that every frog praises his own pond.
Never heard that one before.
I mean, it's from Low Country, South Carolina. Every frog praises his own pond. That simply means that whatever I'm a member of, that is what I'm going to consider to be the very best. So there is no right or wrong answer to the question. The answer is whoever is answering the question. I mean, if you were to talk about sigmas, or you were to talk about alphas, it would be the same identical thing. Mm-hmm. Anyone who is in an organization and you don't think it's the very best, then I've got a concern or problem about that.
I have a question for myself, but just to put the record out there, the past, this S.G.A. president and the one before were members of Kappa Alpha Psi.
I don't think you can judge leadership and put it in an organization. Leadership transcends.
Yes.
Leadership transcends organizational affiliation. It just happens that. I mean, if you could go back, I'm sure, and look in the history of the institution, you'll find other periods of time where other organizations may or may not. So I don't think you define it from that perspective. It just happens that the individuals that the students felt had the leadership were associated with a particular organization at that particular point in time.
Of course, and I would be remiss if I didn't say happy belated Founders Day. It was yesterday, out of respect to Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Thank you. And you know, I think for a long time, Mr. Smith, most people were not even aware of my fraternal affiliation. And it was not that I was in any way ashamed of it. I never wanted a student on this campus to feel that they would be treated differently in any perspective because I was a member of an organization. I wanted them to understand that at the end of the day, you were students at Alabama A&M University, and that's all that matters. Now, what you decide to do in terms of social affiliation, that's up to you, but I never wanted that to be a factor. And so for a long time, I did not make any public, particularly on campus. I think yesterday was probably the first time in my 12 and a half years that I've ever worn a purple and gold tie on this campus. I've never done that in all my years here. But you know, I'm getting ready to leave now, so it's a little, it's a little different from that perspective. Again, it's not being ashamed of my affiliation. It's that I don't want students to feel that they have any reservations because they're a member of this organization or a member of the other. You know, I tell people I come basically from a Panhellenic family. I have relatives that are in all of the organizations. You know, I have a nephew. We share the same birthday. He was born on the 21st of June. He's a Kappa. So I have Kappas, I have Alphas, I have Sigmas, the whole gamut. And so to me, that's a personal affiliation, a personal decision that one wants to decide, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, paint my perspective of that person one way or the other.
Absolutely. That is a great answer. All right, this is another one.
Okay.
If you could be any sandwich, what would it be and why? You got your variety of sandwiches, meatball sub, BLT. You could even go with the burger.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because when you think of sandwiches, you know, and I'd probably go with maybe a Subway. And my reason for that is that it tends to be healthier than some of the others, and it has more of the variety. It's got vegetables, you know, tomatoes and lettuce and et cetera, versus some of the others in terms of how even they're prepared. And so I would select it because of the variety of ingredients and for its healthiness.
Absolutely. I will share mine with you.
Okay.
If I could be any sandwich, it would be a meatball sub, because on a meatball sub, it always has the sauce. And just like the sub, I have the sauce as well.
Excuse me, sir.
That is it.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Now this next one is a little bit personal. I might be a little bit hurt.
Okay.
Who is your favorite S.G.A. president and why am I your favorite? I'm President Hugine.
Now, no, you shouldn't be hurt. You shouldn't be hurt. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't be hurt. There are two of you that hold special places. The first S.G.A. president that was here, because he was a part of the search committee responsible for my selection here. And why his name escapes him right now, it'll probably come back to me. You hold a special place because you were the last S.G.A. president, not only my tenure here, but in my professional career. So that's how I would respond to that.
Yes, sir. And my final question to you, President Hugine. I remember when I came here in 2018, I cannot remember the acrostic that you gave me, but if you could give a final acrostic to the students of Alabama A&M University, what would it be?
I don't know what it might be, but one that comes to mind now is aim. Because in life, we always need to aim high. We need to aim for our goals and our objectives. But to aim, it means there are a couple of things we have to do. The first, we have to have an action plan. You're not going to achieve anything in life if you're just kind of wandering and not focused on where you're going. So you need an action plan. But then after you have that action plan, you have to invest. You got to invest time, sacrifices, in order to get that action plan moving. But then the piece that holds all of it together is that you have to be motivated, because motivation is going to be the piece that allows you to hang on in there even when the challenges and everything else occur. So my parting one to students would be that they aim high. Do that through, action planning, investing, and being motivated toward achieving your goals.
And they'll be very appreciative of that acrostic. And you are infamous for those acrostics, and I love them to death. So, President Hugine, it has been such a pleasure to be with you today. And I really would give it to you to really give any closing remarks that you want to give. So I yield the floor.
Well, a couple of things I want to say. First is, I never want to close any opportunity to give thanks, first of all, to God, because we're able to do what we do because of Him and His blessings. And I always want to remember my family, particularly my wife, who's been with me all these years, and she's made sacrifices, and she's given of herself. She has worked at this university as if she were a paid employee, loves and interacts with our students. I certainly want to thank all of the people that have worked here at the university in whatever capacity, be they faculty, be they staff, and in the administration. And last but certainly not least, I say this with conviction because I really firmly believe it when I say the very best students that exist anywhere in this nation, the students of Alabama A&M University, I mean it, and that's why it comes out that way. I thank each of you for what you do every day, because at the end of the day, it's about you. And we fail if you fail. And so I'm just appreciative of having the opportunity of serving such a wonderful group of students here at the university.
Thank you, President Hugine.
You're welcome.
Godspeed in your time with your grandchildren, and I wish you all the best.
And the same to you and all of the students, because I know that you're going to live up to our marketing slogan that you can start here
and go,
and you can go anywhere.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.